Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ismono podcast. And today it's a little bit of how you call it, a premiere. The first time I actually am able to talk to someone from a very known brand that we all love and like. It is Alan Choi, founder and designer of AER. Hello, Alan. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining me in this little podcast.
Yeah, hello. I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to chatting.
Of course. Can you do a little quick short introduction to yourself, who you are, what you do, for those people who I basically think everyone knows the brand, but maybe you can give a little bit introduction to yourself.
Yeah, I'm Alan. I'm the founder of AIR. I started the company ten years ago this
Yeah, it's,
year.
it's been a while,
Um,
huh?
it has, it's gone by very quickly, but looking back, it's been a long time. Um, but yeah, it started 10 years ago. I had an idea for a gym work backpack. And at the time, Kickstarter was a big thing. And
I
a
remember
lot of,
that.
yeah, it was a different time. And a lot of people were putting up some interesting products up there. So I had the opportunity to put something up on the platform. People were excited about this gym work bag because at the time there weren't really like hybrid, high quality
Yeah.
bags for the gym and office. Um,
It
so
was
it
the
got
duffel pack
funded.
was the first one, right? The duffel pack, right?
Yes, the
Mm-hmm.
original
Yeah.
duffel pack 10 years ago. And then it got funded. And, you know, from there, just kind of organically grew the brand and
Yeah.
put out follow-up products and expanded into more everyday carry and travel.
The second one was the fit pack, right?
Yes, the Fit Pack.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, it's so
yeah,
amazing because I believe, if I'm not completely mistaken, the duffel pack was a very unique design in terms of this duffel style backpack, and it was it blew actually at that time it blew my mind because I've never seen something like that
uh-huh,
before. So you really hit
nice.
the nerve, and I applaud you for creating such a unique design. Dare I say it was almost iconic, um,
Uh-huh.
because I really
Yeah.
liked the design, and it was, in my eyes, back then everything was like really squarish, clamshell or top loading, and then you came along with this duffel style backpack that doesn't look like a duffel with just straps, but actually looked like a backpack. So I
hmm
was really amazed how you pulled that off. That was really cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. The funny thing is, like, the design came from just observing how other people were using bags.
Exactly.
Um, because I I know a lot of people like, or I don't know if it's a lot of people, but I've seen people kind of carry duffel bags as backpacks, just kind of
Yeah,
putting their arms through their straps.
exactly, right?
And
Yeah,
I think that gave me the idea of like, oh, why not kind of take this concept and really form it
yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
like a presentable, like hybrid bag
Yeah.
that looks great,
Be-
like in the office or wherever
exactly,
you go.
because what I knew was the North Face Basecamp duffel, which I still use, which is in essence just a duffel and then just attach some shoulder straps. And I knew that bag already, but from my experience with the one that I had, it wasn't very suitable for the office, and it wasn't
hmm
this hybrid idea. So I really thought, wow, the duffel pack back then was hitting a nerve in terms of being multi-purpose instead of just being a duffel with tacked on shoulder strap, but this is
Yeah,
actually a backpack, and that was really cool actually. What was your
yeah.
design background before actually making bags?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been into kind of like art and like doing creative stuff. So growing up, you know, I took some classes at Art Center, which is like kind of like a really world-renowned kind of design school in Southern California.
Oh,
And
cool.
that got me interested in architecture. So for college, I came up to the Bay Area. I grew up, I was born and raised in LA, came up to the Bay, studied architecture here. Um, and then, during school, I figured out that I didn't want to study architecture just because the subject is great and I still love architecture, but just the process of making buildings is just it takes so long
Tedious,
and there's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
yes it's it could take years before like something is built. So I was always interested in graphic design, industrial design, and I was able to get a position at Encase, which is like a
Ah.
bag and accessories
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
company
I
that
know the
at the
brand.
time back then it was like the
Huge, right?
biggest. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
huge in the Apple store. They had like a whole wall like dedicated
exactly.
to like iPhone cases, laptop sleeves, backpacks. So there I did packaging design for a little bit, and fortunately for me they allowed me to get into soft goods design. So I was there 5 years, and in 2014 I had the opportunity to I had an idea for
Yeah.
this the duffel pack, and I just kind of put it up there, and that's how I guess the
Mu
story of Air started.
must have been scary, right? To kind of be in this secure place of being employed at a big brand and then going out there and creating your own product and kind of relying on Kickstarter. Must have been scary, right? At that time, I imagine.
Yes and no, because after those 5 years, the company was moving their offices from SF to LA. So
Yeah.
I had a decision to make, like, am I gonna uproot myself and go back to LA, or am I just gonna stay
Mm.
in the Bay and figure stuff out? And I decided to do the latter. So at the time, I was not employed, and
Ah,
I
okay.
that's why it's kind of like it wasn't that scary because I had you know
Yeah.
nothing
You had to deal
lined
with the
up or anything.
situation basically, and then you made, how you say it, juice out of lemons. So basically, out of the
Yeah.
situation that you had to decide, okay, I'm gonna stay in San Francisco, so let's do something on my own. Basically, is that
Yes. Yes.
correct
That's
assessment?
exact.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Like I had nothing to lose at the time. Luckily for me, I was married and my wife was able to kind of support us through that time.
Mm.
And I mean, at the same time, I was looking for work as well, just like a new position. But um, I just launched this thing, and lucky for me, it got successful, and yeah, that's how everything
And
started.
really successful, to be quite frank. I mean, Air is one of the brands that I personally consider, together with a couple of other brands, to be an easy recommendation to many people. So
Hmm.
if someone ask me as a reviewer, hey, what kind of bag can you recommend and what would fit for me? Usually, one of the brands that I mention is actually Air because I feel it
Hmm.
is a very easy recommendation to many people. So that's really cool what you and Air have achieved, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much.
you're very welcome. I would love to go now into, because you're a designer, I would love to ask you a couple of questions in terms of design and how you approach specific, the designs on your items. But before we go into designs, I would love to know a little bit more about you to understand why you design something. So I would love to know,
Okay.
what do you usually pack on a day-to-day basis? What do you put in your backpack?
Uh-huh.
Because when I know what you put in your backpack, I feel that I can a little bit understand better why you design, for instance, compartments and stuff like that. So I would love to know what you pack into your work bag every day and which work bag do you use?
I see. This is an interesting question. I think over time, my packing style and items have changed. And I think different situations call for different bags or organization.
Mm,
And I think an interesting thing is just a change in lifestyle. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I live right now in the Bay in the suburbs, and I have two young kids, and I come into an office with a car. So that
Yeah.
really changes the way what
Of
like
course.
I carry and like what I need to bring. Like, at my office, I already have like a lot of my tech accessories just kind of laid out
Mm.
for me. I kind of have a set at home. I have a set here at the office. So I'm actually not carrying much day to day. So I mean,
But I
off the
imagine you have a sling bag, or what's your EDC? Do you carry a sling bag, or do you stuff everything in your pants pockets if you don't carry work items?
yeah, it's a little bit of both. So maybe to answer your question before, the items that I'm actually carrying are like, my iPhone, my MacBook. I have a Wacom like tablet. Uh, I have my AirPods, my wallet, keys,
But
and
that's
then
a
like
lot.
pens and notebooks. Yeah, yeah, it is a lot, but not so much. But in terms of daily carry, it actually changes depending on like the bags that I'm working on.
Oh, okay.
Just
So
because
you
I need to
usually.
test. Yeah, I'm usually testing out,
Oh, okay.
products that, are yet to be released just to make sure that things make sense. So I don't have a set
Ah.
carry on a
Oh,
day-to-day
okay.
basis.
Okay, that makes totally sense. And I would have imagined that you have like a specific bag, but of course, you're the designer, you have probably to test prototypes. Do you also kind of create prototypes at the place where you're at so that you can actually use those prototype samples for in the field testing when you are there in the office?
Here in the office, the design process is dependent on like a lot of sketching and just kind of like
Mm,
hacking things together with like, pins and staples.
yeah.
And then a lot of the prototype typing comes from our technicians at the factory in China.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of back and forth, shipping things back and forth. So the process is the turnaround is pretty quick in terms of like how quickly we can get prototypes. So
Mm,
we've kind of utilized this sort of um, prototyping method to get
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
samples in hand as soon as possible.
Oh, that's cool. So now going to the design process, I would love to know how you as a designer balance um, design and functionality, but also durability and function. For instance, how do you balance a fabric? Because I feel Air is pretty known for their very durable fabrics. How do you balance for instance, the weight and the durability and therefore the added weight and function, for instance? Is there a specific thought process when you design stuff that you go through? Oh, let's use that fabric, but that is too heavy. But on the other hand, it's very durable. How do you decide on those kind of things where you, yeah, to repeat myself, to kind of balance
Yeah,
those factors? How do you go through that thought process?
yeah, that's a good question. And I think to answer that, I do want to give a little backstory into why we use such heavy duty fabrics.
Hmm.
So when I first started Air, it was just me, right? I'm doing the design, the
Of course.
development. I'm doing customer service. Like there was a point where I was like packing everything myself. So I have a
Oh, that's
very
amazing.
good holistic idea of like what is happening with the bags,
Sure.
how the bags are performing, where the failure points are. So early on, we were not using Cordura fabrics. It was just kind of like off the shelf, generic 1680D. And within a couple months, we were getting kind of warranty claims because
Oh,
parts of the bag were failing, right? And it got to a point where I was just like, screw this. Like, I cannot deal with unhappy customers. I can't deal with product that doesn't kind of live up to
I
a certain
see.
standard or durability. So at that
Mm.
point, we switched everything over to Cordura, and I kind of made it a point that we're just going to use the best possible materials and fabrics and
Yeah,
trims,
yeah,
because like I don't have time to deal with like bags failing, and I don't think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a good customer experience at all. Um, so that's kind of the origin of kind of like the durability aspect of our bags, and like why we kind of push heavier fabrics.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and the interesting thing is, like, I know that even lighter weight fabrics with like a lighter denier, 600, 800, 420, like those are all good enough for most use cases.
Mm.
But I think, over time, we've just kind of embraced kind of the 1680, the heavy
Mm-hmm.
duty, the chunky zippers, that kind of aesthetic. And um,
It's
I
kind of a
think
signature
that's
to Air.
it is.
Mm.
And, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because there are times where I do want to explore different types of materials for different use cases.
Mm.
And we've done that in the past with kind of like our Go collection, which is like
Yeah.
much lighter weight, a different kind of look, a different aesthetic. Um, so, you know, I, in the past, it was about durability, kind of maintaining our aesthetic, our signature
Mm.
details, our signature material sets. Um, but I think we're getting to a point where it's time to kind of explore beyond that. And that will all be dictated through kind of the concept of the collection, the storytelling. Um, if, we, work on a collection that requires a different look, a different weight, that's something we'll do. Um,
Yeah.
and then a lot of kind of the decision making also comes from feedback from the customers,
Sure.
where I know some of the bags are pretty heavy, and especially with kind of the one bag crowd, like I
Yeah.
know the Travel Pack 3 currently is pretty heavy for kind of
Mm.
a carry-on backpack. So, um, these are all considerations we take into kind of deciding how to kind of decide on fabrics, how to utilize them
Yeah.
in future designs.
But I love that we're having this conversation, because now that you told me why you do it, it makes so much more sense. Because obviously, hearing some of the comments sometimes in videos, sometimes they say, "Oh, I love that fabric; it's so durable." And then you have other people who say, "Oh, but it's too heavy. I don't like
Yeah,
that. It's too much for me." But now that I hear why you do it, it makes I totally respect the decision making on using that. I mean, I already respected before, but I never had a real explanation for people besides, oh, it's supposed to be durable. But now hearing your history and the
yeah,
thought process and the development on why you decided over time to do it that way makes so much sense to me, and is really cool to hear. Actually, I like that, and I thank you so much for sharing that story, because it makes so much sense now, and I feel that people now listening to that understand why you and Air are doing that. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So going further into the design process, many of your bags have I'm not sure if you call it that way, but I sometimes call them admin panel. So the front compartment that has a lot of slots and stuff, like
Uh-huh.
organizational slots in the
Yeah, yeah.
front compartment. How do you decide how many slots or how big those slots are, in regards to, do you anticipate what people pack inside, or is there a standard set of slots and slot sizes that you kind of put into those, how I call them, admin panels? I don't know how you call them
Hmm. Yeah,
internally. Is that admin?
Yeah.
Is the description correct?
Yes. Yes. That's perfect. Yeah. Admin
Yeah.
panels, just
Yeah.
organization pockets.
Yeah. How do you decide that? Do you anticipate how people load an Apple mouse in there, or we have people usually use that kind of pen? How do you decide on that? Or especially
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
with tech pouches. Well, I mean, how do you design tech pouches? Do you anticipate a specific load setup or?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, this is a interesting question as well. There isn't like a science behind it. I think it's just, over time with just, personally like how I use bags, what I'm loading the pockets out with. It also has to do with like kind of what I see online
Yeah,
and just kind of seeing like loadout pictures of like how people are using, tech pouches and backpacks and
yeah,
what kind of common items tend to like pop up for most people. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's like a science behind it. I think my point of view is to give a variety of pockets
hmm,
and size them in a way that can fit most items. So because
yeah,
not everyone carries the same thing on a daily basis. Everyone has different gear, accessories, and I think for us in the beginning, it was more about offering the option and the choice to use admin panels and pockets. Um, and then over time, you just get feedback, from our customers or from online or from like reviewers like yourself. You
mm,
just kind of start to understand like what type of pockets are essential, which are not. Um, and then, yeah, I think it just is about choice and
mm,
offering versatility and variety. Um, and it's interesting because I think for a lot of people who are not like pro users,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the right word, or like enthusiasts, like people who are for the first time getting like a nicer bag, right?
yeah.
Like pockets are something that gets a lot of people excited.
Exactly,
So like,
exactly.
that's something that I feel like we as a brand uh, need to provide, just kind of a base
Mm,
level of organization um, for that crowd. But I think over the years we've offered bags with different admin pockets,
yeah, yeah,
with maybe less organization because
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know a lot of enthusiasts use a lot of pouches. I use a lot of pouches when I travel, so you don't need as many pockets. So it's definitely we're trying to cover a lot of ground. We
Yeah.
want to make sure we provide bags for uh, as many people as possible, and I totally get that not everyone has the same packing
Of
style,
course, yeah. I
right?
mean, it is a very difficult question because it
Yeah.
is that's what's so cool about in my humble opinion about the bag world because it really underlines and showcases how unique every single person is because of
Yes.
their you see how they pack and you totally understand, oh, okay, we might be we have similar interests and we are buddies, but oh, you pack your bag totally different, and that
Hmm. Hmm.
underlines what we how unique everyone is. And I feel you just segued me to the perfectly to the next question because you mentioned how you want to kind of appeal to a broad to as many people as possible, and I would love to know, we both, I would say you two, are bag enthusiasts, right? And the people who are listening to this podcast and watching my videos are obviously in this bag enthusiast world. But as mentioned in the introduction, I feel that AER is also a really easy recommendation to, in air quotes, mainstream people, because it is a good, solid recommendation for anyone getting into the world of bags and not really being interested in going into deep into this bag enthusiast world. So I would love to know if you, I would say AER is a very cool bag enthusiast brand, but also targets the mainstream as well. I would love to know, how do you do you balance the expectations of the bag enthusiast world and the bag pros with the desire to attract more mainstream target groups? For instance, many mainstream people would probably not be interested in durable, high quality materials or specific features. Do
Yeah.
you just design the way you like, or do you sometimes want to actually cater more to the bag enthusiast world, or do you try to kind of lean also to the mainstream world in air quotes fear that maybe bag enthusiast world thinks, oh, why did they do that? That doesn't make sense. You know where I'm getting at? I'm not sure if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
phrased the question properly,
Yes,
to be
yes.
honest.
No, no, I think you I understand the intent behind the question and the question itself, and it's something I think about as the brand owner and designer, and how to position our brand, as we continue to
Yeah, that's
grow.
a good
It's yeah,
description. Yeah, positioning.
it's a it's a very tough question to answer because
Yeah, right.
um, I feel like things are changing a lot,
Yeah,
and even just kind of my understanding of how people perceive our brand, and you know that plus like how I want our brand to be perceived, how our products are perceived. It's a very difficult thing to grasp and to answer
yeah.
actually. But
It
I
is
think
so difficult.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think what I will say is, I think, my desire is to just make great product. I mean, I
Yeah.
come from a design background. I'm a consumer, as all of us are, and I get excited when I see good design. So, you know, I I would like to say I'm not influenced by like, if we need to cater to the masses versus like the
Mm.
enthusiasts. I don't know if I think of it that way. I think of it more as like, I need to continue to create product that I'm excited about. And,
Ah,
as I continue to grow and change, like that
that's
could
great.
also change. Um, but I know that I would never want to design product that's kind of like watered down to appeal
Yeah.
to like as many people as possible. I think even our current bags, like even though it is a great and easy recommendation to a lot of people, it doesn't appeal to everyone.
Mm.
Especially because I think our bags tend to be a little more like tools, kind of like
Hmm.
and I don't want to say overbuilt, but like it uses heavy duty.
Utilitarian, maybe?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, very
Yeah.
utilitarian, functional.
Yeah.
And I know there's definitely a big crowd out there that doesn't like this type of aesthetic. And the world is big, right? Like there's so many styles out there. There's so many
Mm.
different individuals and lifestyles. No one can appeal to everyone for sure.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing that we can do, and I think what I've learned over the years, is just kind of do what I think is right for the
I
brand and just
respect
kind of
that. Yeah.
follow my kind of vision and what excites me. Because
But
usually, like
I,
when I work on sorry, I was just gonna say like
no, go
if
ahead.
I work on something exciting, like that will translate over to the customer
Yes,
side as
exactly.
well.
Exactly. I totally respect that because I feel that it is a very authentic and healthy way to go about it. Because if you, as a creator, are happy with what you have created, it kind of translates over to the
Yes.
product or over whatever you're creating. And it is much more, and I'm not sure if that's the right word, but respectable to anyone seeing that product and wanting that product, instead of you kind of bend yourself to cater to the needs or wants of whatever who is out there. So I totally
Uh-huh.
respect that. And for you as a designer, as a creator, it keeps you happy, I believe, if you do the things that you want to do and you feel happy about it. And as I said, it translates. People kind of feel that the designer or the creator is passionate about that thing
Hmm.
because it was
Hmm.
made while being happy, so to say. And totally respect that. I
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. And it's the interesting thing is like I feel like, design and just like creating products, it's a dialogue, not just with myself or our team internally, but with kind of our customers, the industry. Like it's a
Yeah.
back and forth. Like we'll test stuff that we think might work or could work, and then maybe
Mm.
we'll get a response,
Yeah.
maybe a lukewarm response or a great response, and like it's always kind of this testing, and this dialogue
Yeah.
between the creator and like the users, and it's always changing, and I think that's what makes design and just creating things really interesting. And I'm
Of
sure
course.
yourself as like as I don't know how you would categorize yourself, but like
A
a
creator,
bag
probably.
creator, bag
Yeah.
enthusiast with kind of,
Yeah.
with the podcast and the videos, you're hearing the comments that people
Yeah.
are saying, you hear feedback. So it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, a really interesting
Exactly.
dynamic.
Totally. And I would now love to know from you, because Air is known for backpacks, sling bags, and pouches, of course. What other categories would you, as a designer, want to explore in the future for Air?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the timing is great because we're about to launch our carry-on suitcase, which was a 5-year project that we've worked on. But just high level to answer your question before we get into talking about the carry-on, um, you know, we are a travel brand, so we want to create a world around travel.
Yeah.
So there are definitely opportunities that we haven't explored that we can get into with just like smaller travel accessories. Just anything, that you need for
Can you
travel.
share
Like,
something that might be in the works without
uh-huh.
kind of, can you spoil something? But if you can't, I don't want to put you
Uh-huh.
on the spot, of course, if you
Yeah,
can't share
yeah.
anything.
Um, I don't know if I could share anything, but you
Don't
know,
worry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I just thought
Just,
I'd try.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Good try, good try. I almost slipped up there. Yeah. But I
No,
mean,
you,
just like there's a lot of product out there, even that looking for, right? With just like,
yeah.
like travel, like lotion containers or tubes. Like I can see us
I was
working on
just
stuff
about
like
to
that.
say, Air doesn't have a dub kit, right? You don't have a dub kit,
Oh, we do,
if
we
I'm.
do.
Would you do? I didn't know that.
Yeah. We have a lot
I
of
need to
different
go.
bags.
I need to
Um,
Google that. I didn't know you had a
yeah.
dub kit.
We have something called the
Oh,
travel kit too, which is like a hanging dop kit, and we have some
I didn't
smaller
know
standing
that.
ones.
Okay. So, but yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you. So you were just talking about a new product that you currently just launched, right?
It will
Or
launch in
are
a
about
week,
to.
7 days
Okay.
from today.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's our first ever carry-on suitcase, and you know, we started the project 5 years ago, and back then we are thinking, because we're a travel brand, um, we need to offer a carry-on suitcase or suitcases in general, just
Yeah.
to be to create that world around travel. And when I was younger, I was doing a lot of one bagging, right? Um, Trying to carry as little as possible. But now with kids, I'm sure you understand, like you just cannot travel like that.
Yeah. I can
And we
imagine.
have, yeah, we have suitcases. Like there's just too much stuff. Like um, so I think around that time, I was like, okay, we need our own little suitcase, something that could fit in the air world and have that air DNA. Um, so we kicked that off 5 years ago, and we actually collaborated with a San Francisco industrial design studio
Oh,
called
that's
Box
cool.
Clever. So I used to
Okay.
work there for a little bit as a designer, but we linked up. They work on a lot of like tech products and just actually a lot of great products in general, from like kitchenware to tech stuff.
Oh, that's
So
a
because
that's quite the big range of
yeah,
items.
it's a big range. Yeah, um, because this is kind of a hard goods product and something that we don't typically make, I wanted to make sure that we kind of brought in the big guns and kind of collaborate together to figure out what a suitcase would look like for our brand.
What exactly can you elaborate how making what do you call it? Hard product?
Yeah,
Hard
just hard
what are
goods, like a hard
hard goods?
product.
That was the word.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
What's more difficult for you as a designer in terms of soft goods? I would imagine hard goods would be easier to design, isn't it?
I would say overall the design process, just from a big picture, is the same. You know, you're
Okay.
you're starting with an insight, you're doing research, you're creating prototypes, and you're creating a product. So the overall process is the same, but there are like some details that are different, especially with hard goods because it requires a lot of like 3D tooling, kind of engineering
Oh.
parts that are a little bit different from when you work on a soft good product. Um,
Hmm.
so we had to kind of rely on the expertise of the industrial design studio to kind of
Hmm.
help us think through and kind of engineer and uh, kind of test and make sure things are working, fitting together well. And the
Okay.
tolerances are much, much tighter than with soft goods products. So, um, you know, I could have tried to attempt that on my own, but with timing and with how busy I am, like there's just
Yeah.
no way I could have kind of embarked on that project on my own. So
Sure.
I thought it was a great process and experience working with them. A lot of times when you're working with outside studios or consultants, like it's kind of like brand therapy too, where you're kind of understanding the brand from a different perspective,
Yeah,
from a
exactly.
different angle. So you kind of learn more about yourself, and you kind of learn more about the brand and how people perceive it, and what everything just becomes a little bit more clear after that
Of course.
collaboration.
What were your goals or what did you want the case to be? Were there anything where because I imagine you went to that outside company, you probably had some key points that you wanted to nail when
Hmm,
you
hmm.
approached that company. What you were you thinking for that case then? What did you want it to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually looking through some PDFs and presentations before our talk, try to get a refresher here. Um, but I mean, the biggest goal was, to create a, a suitcase that embodied kind of the Air DNA.
Hmm.
And what that means is, it would be a balance of form, of function, and durability, and creating something that would last for many years to come.
Yeah.
So, and something that interacted and played well with our current line of bags. So, were a lot of different aspects to it. And I think, looking at the final product, we did land on something that kind of fulfilled that initial uh, goal and mission. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. And I think the final result is not what I expected when we got into the design and development of it. Did you receive the unit, by the way?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if
Okay.
I was allowed to mention it, but I didn't unpack it yet
Oh,
because I
uh-huh.
want to film an unboxing.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay.
I wasn't sure how much I was able allowed to say already, to be quite
Uh-huh.
honest. So I didn't
Oh, I
mention
see.
it,
I
but
see.
yes,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yes, I
Cool.
received the package and I'm really excited to test it out because I'm looking forward to see the color. To be honest,
Oh,
I'm
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so excited about the colors. How did you
The
decide
orange.
on? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
for those of you who don't know, there are a lot of cool colors that were a little bit unexpected, to be quite frank. How did you decide
Uh-huh.
on those colors?
Yeah, I mean, some of the colors are based off of our bag colors.
Mm, sure.
We got the black and the dark olive, and then the orange one, the safety
Yeah.
orange, is obviously our liner for our X-Pack bags. But I think for this project, we really wanted to experiment and open up that color palette
Yeah. I love it.
just to see how, yeah, yeah. I think, you know, again, like there's a difference between like suitcases and bags where like, I think some people might be open to a more interesting, fun color with a suitcase as opposed to like maybe an everyday carry
Yeah.
um, that's this kind of bright color. So kind of going back to this dialogue between like us and our customers and users, I think we'll learn a lot from kind of this initial launch and the color palette.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what people think about the bag because I think just from the pictures alone, it looks amazing. What do you think is the feature or the design or what are you the most proud of with that product? What do you think will when you
Mm,
hold the product? What is the thing that you love the most on it?
uh-huh. Um, Let me take a look at it right here to properly answer your question. Um, what would it be? I think it's just the sum of the parts, just the overall design itself. I'm really happy with, and I'm really proud that we're able to kind of translate our aesthetic, our perspective on design, and translating it from kind of soft goods to a hard good. I think
Yeah,
that transition was like very uncertain for us in the beginning because
yeah,
we had never made like this hard product before, and we weren't gonna just like make a suitcase with like a line in the middle like our backpacks with our zippers, right? So um, I think the journey was really interesting, and I'm just proud of kind of the end result. It really feels like a suitcase that is uniquely Air, um, and I'm really happy with a lot of the custom features and details that we're able
yeah.
to create. Some of these the features we're able to patent. So
Oh,
um,
really?
yeah, yeah, because like
Interesting.
the triangular trolley system is completely new. completely custom. Um, and there's nothing that's really just like off the shelf that we just kind of
Yeah.
picked and grabbed from a catalog. Everything is custom. Everything is
Oh,
considered.
that's awesome.
So I'm really proud of just the overall execution.
When will the bag be or the case be available?
In 7 days.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
I don't know when this conversation will come up, but or when you're gonna
Yeah.
post it, but maybe by the time it's up, the suitcase will be
Yeah,
released.
it will be definitely online. All right. So before I let you go, I would love to know one last question that is about how you carry in your EDC. I would love to
Yeah.
know what are your personal needs for a sling bag. You already mentioned a little bit what you carry on a daily basis for work, but if you are on your day about with kids or anything, do you carry a sling bag? And if so, which one? And what do you usually pack inside? So what's your EDC actually?
Yeah, yeah. So the funny thing is my wife carries the sling bag. Usually I have everything in my pockets in terms of
Oh,
just
really?
EDC. Yeah, yeah. I actually like to carry as little as possible. So
Interesting. Yeah.
it's usually just like, and again, it's changes based on the situation, but for out on the weekend, just like hanging out and stuff, I usually just have my phone and my wallet and my keys. And then my wife will actually carry a Daysling 3 Max to fit like our kids like water bottles and like their kind of
Oh,
like
interesting.
toys and stuff. But I think a better way to answer your question would be like when I travel
Yeah.
for
Oh,
work,
yeah. Yeah.
um, it's a different story. And I actually like carrying like a tote as opposed to a sling.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
just like if I'm out and about in the city, just like kind of running around. So I'll usually have like the Go Tote too, which is
Mm-hmm.
like more of a lightweight packable tote,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm just kind of throwing everything in there from like snacks or like little souvenirs that I'm buying.
I actually use that a little bit as a tool bag here at home.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah.
For
I
just
have all my
like household
no
like
for
tools.
no, I actually have all my garden tools and I put
Mm,
all of the charger and the batteries for my lawnmower, for my garden tools are all in that. And that's
okay.
basically a little bit of a tool case. I use
Uh-huh.
that for that. It's actually
Awesome.
a very durable bag. And
Uh-huh.
because it
Uh-huh.
is so lightweight, it's the perfect tool bag, to be quite frank, because it doesn't add to the weight of all of the batteries that I need for my lawnmower, but it's
Uh-huh.
still
Uh-huh.
durable enough to carry all of those huge. I don't know if you know that the batteries of a lawnmower are basically the size of a milk carton.
Oh
So
wow.
and
Okay.
I have three of them together with
Uh-huh.
two chargers. I put that all in the Go tote, and that's
Oh
basically my.
wow.
And it's
Uh-huh.
very durable, actually. I should make a video
Oh
about that now
wow.
that we talk about it.
That is a use case that I could not have predicted, but I'm glad that it's it works for you and it's durable enough. That's
Definitely, it's
awesome.
totally durable. And again, it doesn't add up to the weight of those chunky batteries, so it's
Uh-huh.
perfect for that.
That's crazy.
So highly recommend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really like, yeah, I think I've always liked using totes. And I feel like in the US, you don't see totes as much as you do like backpacks.
Yeah,
Maybe in New York, you might see a little
yeah.
bit more totes. But you
In
see a lot
Hamburg,
of
a
that in
lot of people
Asia.
use, yeah, Asia as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
Asia and some places here in Germany, Berlin, many people use toads as well. I'm not so fond of it because of the one-sided weight distribution. So
Yeah,
it kind
yeah.
of always digs into my shoulder a little bit because I tend to overpack, or I
Uh-huh,
used to
uh-huh.
overpack, but I want to try it out a little bit more. I
Hmm,
do see
hmm.
the appeal of it. But do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
carry a sling bag when you do long distance flights or when you're flying?
I
Or are
will
you
when
a
I'm
tote guy as
testing.
well? Oh,
I
okay.
think I will. gravitate to totes if I'm out and about traveling. But again, I'm always testing products, so I
Mm.
will use a sling. Um, Usually, with the sling, I'll have my camera in there.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of how I typically pack out slings, just with
Which camera
uh,
are you packing then?
I usually have a small point and shoot. It's a Ricoh
Oh, the
GR3.
GR3. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Oh,
cool.
I love that camera.
Is it, yeah? Do you do a lot
Yeah,
of street photography or is it just a cool family camera then?
more family, just taking
Hmm.
snapshots and just the lens and the quality. It's just so amazing compared to like, my iPhone or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
Do you
yeah,
use the
usually
internal filters and stuff like that, or do you do a lot of post processing at home?
definitely use the presets and the filters.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I like about that camera. It's like you just kind
Exactly.
of don't have to think. You just kind of
Yeah.
point shoot and it comes out like, ready to go.
That's why I'm so interested in that camera, but it's still so expensive, right?
It
And
is.
it's isn't
Uh-huh.
it also just like the Fuji camera always sold out? I feel like it's also hard to get, at least in Germany, if
Yeah,
I'm not totally
yeah.
mistaken.
It's definitely pricey. I don't know about the stock situation, but
Mm.
I just love that it's so pocketable. I think,
Yeah, yeah,
especially for like, if you have a family, you have kids running around, it's so easy to just like put it in your pocket, pull it out,
yeah, yeah.
just power button, snap, and then, put it
Exactly.
back.
I'm
Yeah.
so surprised that you are actually quite minimal in what you're carrying around. I would have imagined
Uh-huh.
that you say like, okay, I carry an iPad Pro with a pen because when I'm out of and about on a play park with my kids, and then an idea hits me and I jot down something. I
Uh-huh,
would have
uh-huh,
thought that
uh-huh.
you carry a lot more items, but I'm impressed that you are very minimal actually. Just phone, wallet, keys. That's it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, I don't know if it's because I'm always around like product and bags, like it makes me just want to carry even less stuff.
You're just like a cook, like a chef. You know that all the
Uh,
professional chefs are saying, "Oh, what do you cook at home?" I'm a chef. I don't cook at home. I order
yeah,
in.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
exactly.
so. Since you're
Yeah,
surrounded by bags, you don't want to carry a bag. That's
yeah.
basically it, right?
That's a funny comparison because I have heard of podcasts where chefs, all day they're cooking like three Michelin star like level
Yeah,
food, and then at home they're just like eating like frozen food from the freezer
yeah.
and like cereal, and like that's all they eat. It's pretty funny. I guess it is a little similar.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me here on this
Uh-huh.
podcast and sharing so much about how you create bags and really looking forward to test out this new product, the new case. And I'm really looking forward to see the color of that orange. What's the name of that color, by the way? How you call it?
Uh, Safety orange.
How is it?
Oh, sorry, safety orange.
Safety Orange. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. That's a good
yeah,
name because I
yeah, yeah.
really like that. Will we see some bags in that color, or is it a
Ooh.
little bit too much? It's probably too much, right?
um, it could be too much. Maybe our like 20th year anniversary or something. Um, but we will have packing cubes in that colorway coming out.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
loved it. I don't know why, but just like this high vis stuff.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes because you see it so well. I don't think probably I get that for a backpack it doesn't make a lot of sense, but for packing cubes to see it in your backpack or in your bag, it's really cool. I like traveling bags because you just know on a baggage claim, oh, that's my bag, the
Yeah,
orange
yeah,
one or the or the green one or whatever. So it's cool that
for
you have
sure.
some choices there. Where
Yeah.
can people find you? Probably just the AER social media, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really do personal
Social.
stuff, social
Yeah, I
media.
can
So
imagine.
people can find me, I guess, at AER, or they can
Yeah.
email me. But Bo,
It
I
was
also want to say thank you so much for having me. It's been uh, this conversation has been fun, and it was something we've talked about
same.
for a long, long time. Like your listeners won't know, but you asked if we could chat like many, many years
Yeah,
ago, and
exactly.
I'm glad that we're able to finally chat
I
and meet
think
in
this
person.
conversation was amazing. I feel I thank you so much for taking the time, sharing all of that knowledge, and I feel that when people listen to this podcast, it puts a face to the brand. And
Yeah.
I feel that every time you have a face to a brand or hear the backstory, the history, and why you do stuff, it makes the brand emotional, lively, and
Uh-huh.
you get much more easily attached to it. And I feel that I understand much better why you do stuff and why you
Cool.
design stuff that way. And um, because, for instance, the fabric, I think that was a so cool story, and it is and yeah, I don't know how to say it better, but it's an obvious story. But now hearing it from you directly, it makes more sense why you do it that way, and I totally respect the decision in using this kind of fabric and this kind of material and why you did it. It's cool.
Uh-huh. That's
Really,
great to
thank you so
hear.
much.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the talk, and I hope the people listening will also enjoy. And yeah, I'd love to chat again sometime. I really had a good time.
Definitely. Definitely. I
Yeah.
have a lot, definitely can think of a lot of more questions for you
Uh-huh.
next
Awesome.
time.
Awesome.
So, everyone,
Cool.
thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much, Alan, for taking the time. And we hear all of you in the next episode. Thank you very much.